We begin our reporting this hour in the Middle East, where Israel is expanding ground operations in Gaza. Nearly 3 weeks after Hamas militants launched an attack on Israel, killing about 1,400 people. Hi, everyone. I'm Catherine Herridge in Washington, and thanks for streaming. The ground invasion of Gaza follows heavy airstrikes on the Palestinian territory. The increased fighting comes just 20 days after Hamas militants attacked Israel. 2 U.S. officials tell CBS News this appears to be a, quote, rolling start to Israel's anticipated ground offensive. The spokesman for the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, announced at 8:30 p.m. Israeli time that, quote, the ground forces are expanding the ground activity. CBS senior foreign correspondent Charlie D'Agata is in Israel with more.
The skyline over Gaza City lit up in the most ferocious and sustained bombardment the territory has seen since the Israeli military unleashed its aerial assault on Hamas militants nearly 3 weeks ago. Whether the series of powerful explosions was the precursor to the major ground invasion, the Israeli Defense Forces would only say ground operations were expanding tonight, warning residents of Gaza City to seek safer conditions, that the IDF would persist in its attacks on the city and surrounding areas. This is said to show the impact of the bombardment from inside Gaza itself tonight. Telecom firms reported that the internet and cell phone services were cut off across the Palestinian territory. Today's heavy bombardment follows 2 nights of raids as Israeli troops went on the offensive by land and sea. The IDF released this video said to show a naval commando unit conducting a raid on what it called a Hamas terrorist infrastructure, apparently reaching the shore at one point and engaging in ferocious firefights. That coincided with another nighttime ground attack, this video claiming to show Israeli tanks rolling across the border, artillery and aircraft striking anti-tank missile launchers and an operational headquarters. The full force of Israeli airstrikes dropping whole city blocks, one of 250 targets the IDF said they attacked, claiming their aim is the destruction of terrorist tunnels. Hamas also striking back, sending a volley of rockets into Israel, some of which got through the country's Iron Dome missile defense system, even hitting Tel Aviv, resulting in a few injuries. Whether or not a full-scale invasion has begun tonight, Israel says it remains committed to returning hostages held in Gaza during almost 3 weeks of warfare.
Charlie D'Agata joins us now. Charlie, in the simplest terms, what is the IDF's objective?
Well, in the simplest of terms, it wants to dismantle and destroy Hamas. Everything about Hamas, the infrastructure, its ability to fight back, its ability to launch attacks against Israel. What we've seen for the past 3 weeks, as we understand it from the IDF, is degrading Hamas's capability not just of attacking Israel itself, but defending against what we believe to be a major incursion tonight. But what we saw tonight was really next level in terms of the airstrikes, the intensity. It went on for maybe an hour or so. We know Israeli tanks have crossed into Gaza. We're just about a mile from the border itself. You've heard a lot of outgoing artillery mortars, explosions in the background, aircraft and drones overhead. So this is an active conflict zone and an intensity that we haven't seen for the past 3 weeks.
Okay, so you've seen a real escalation. What are the indicators you're going to be looking for to assess whether this is a broader incursion or ultimately the start of a ground invasion?
So what's different tonight is clearly the scale of what's happened. For the past couple of nights, there have been incursions. In fact, there was 2 overnight last night, 1 at sea, 1 by land. What we'll be looking for in the morning is whether those tanks stay, whether those troops remain inside Gaza. These have been incursions, limited, localized incursions, what the IDF tell us. They get in, they get out, they get information, they try to figure out Hamas defense positions, and then they're out of there. What we saw tonight in terms of the intensity suggests it might be expanding. Hamas has already said that they're fighting Israeli troops on the ground in Gaza, and that's new. So what we'll really be telling is over the course of the next 24 hours, whether the troops that are already in Gaza tonight, whether they're going to remain tomorrow, whether there will be even more reinforcements, tanks, armored personnel carriers, artillery like that, and airstrikes that will continue over the next 24, 48 hours in the kind of intensity that we've witnessed in the past 6 or 7 hours.
Charlie D'Agata, thank you for your reporting on the ground in Israel tonight. National security correspondent David Martin has new reporting from the Pentagon.
Tonight's Israeli artillery barrage began what U.S. officials say appears to be a rolling start to the ground invasion of Gaza. Israeli ground forces have crossed into Gaza before, but only on raids, pulling out at the end of the night. A rolling start is different, and retired General Frank McKenzie, former commander of U.S. troops in the Middle East, explains how it works.
I think a rolling start will be an operation where you put in reconnaissance forces, you sort of gain a feel for the battlefield, and then pull your main forces in behind them.
The Pentagon had sent a Marine general experienced in special operations and urban combat to advise the Israelis on how to do it. He has now left Israel.
They'll probably have several lines of advance going into Gaza, and Israeli commanders will see where they're having success. The axiom is you reinforce success. Where you're gaining ground, you put more forces in behind it.
It sounds sort of like establishing beachheads inside Gaza.
You should think of it as multiple beachheads all across the front.
And in the underground tunnels, which Hamas could blow up under the feet of Israeli soldiers and make block-by-block fighting even more hellacious. Civilians already suffering under the crushing weight of Israeli bombs will be trapped in the middle, used as human shields by Hamas and seen as potential threats by the Israelis.
CBS News national security correspondent David Martin joins us now from the Pentagon. David, tell us more about these Hamas tunnels and how the Israeli military might try to navigate them.
Well, these tunnels really are the equalizer in this battle. Israel has air superiority with its helicopters and jet fighters, but Hamas has underground superiority with these tunnels. The tunnels allow Hamas to move about the city. They can set ambushes, they can retreat from positions that are no longer tenable, and they can even blow them up in the event that they want to try and get Israeli troops that are walking overhead. Now, Israel has to go in to clear out those tunnels, but they're going to be booby-trapped almost for sure. So this is going to just be extremely hazardous for the Israelis to deal with.
And just to take that a step further, is it accurate that the IDF, Israeli Defense Forces, have poor intelligence about the mapping of these tunnels?
I honestly don't know. I think that they have good intelligence on where things are in Israel, but you know, you're operating underground in the dark in narrow spaces, and it is just a nightmare for combat.
Yeah, a great point. So just sort of big picture, David, how is this different from the previous ground raids that we've seen?
Well, a raid, by definition, you go in, you do whatever you went in to do, and then you get out. In the case of the Israelis, they've gone in under cover of darkness, and they've been out by daybreak, and the raid is over. In a ground invasion, you go in, again, under cover of darkness, but when the sun comes up, you're still there. And then you're establishing strong points at various points around the city, and that is then where you're launching your next attempt to take back territory. You're not coming from outside anymore, you're starting from inside.
Right, it's like it was a great analogy, these beachheads, and they're taking these footholds and then emanating or expanding outwards, in effect, to seize additional territory. Is that fair?
Yeah, but, you know, you can get driven off a beachhead. Those are difficult operations, and Hamas has known this offensive was coming, not just for the 3 weeks since their attack on Israel, but ever since they started planning that operation, they had to plan it on the assumption that Israel was going to strike back as hard as it could. So they've had a lot of time, I mean months, if not years, to get ready for what the Israelis are trying to do. And then there's always the rule of warfare that the offense needs a 3-to-1 advantage over the defense, and it's now Hamas, which is on the defense.
That's right. In the final few seconds here, based on your reporting, what's your sense of how long in advance the planning was for this Hamas operation and the extent to which it had outside support, either in terms of recruitment or training from Iran?
It was years in the planning, and the reason they were able to keep it such a secret probably goes back to those tunnels, because they didn't talk on their cell phones. They talked on landlines, and the landlines run through those tunnels. There is still no evidence, at least no evidence that U.S. intelligence has, that Iran directed this. But Iran funds them, arms them, trains them. So Iran is the enabler of this attack by Hamas into Israel. Hamas carried it out, but it wouldn't have happened without Iran.
Well, you know from reporting in this area for decades that that's kind of the MO of many of these organizations, is that they provide the money and the tools to launch the attack, but they leave the time, the date, and the location up to the battlefield commanders. David Martin, thank you for your new reporting from the Pentagon tonight. Thank you.
Sure.
Let's turn now to the White House for the administration's position on this developing situation in the Middle East. Let's bring in CBS News Chief White House Correspondent Nancy Cordis, who's there on the North Lawn. Nancy, has the White House reacted to the developments tonight?
Catherine, they're saying very little. All along, they've been pretty reluctant to weigh on various IDF operations in real time, and this ground invasion is no different, whether it's the start of something bigger or simply the IDF making various forays and then retreating from Gaza. All that the White House is telling us tonight is that the president was briefed by his key national security advisors, and that he will continue to be briefed throughout the course of the weekend. They say they're obviously watching what's happening on the ground very closely, and that they are in touch with their Israeli counterparts.
Earlier this week, CBS News learned through its reporting that the U.S. ought to slow down the potential Israeli ground movements. What was the reasoning behind that, and has tonight's developments essentially shown that that's failed?
Not necessarily. There were a number of reasons that the U.S. wanted the Israelis to slow their roll, if you will. First of all, they were very concerned about civilians in Gaza running out of the basics: food, water, medicine, things that couldn't get into Gaza and still aren't getting into Gaza because of the constant rocket attacks. And so that was one of their main concerns. They were also hoping that there might be some kind of development to allow some of these civilians to get out of Gaza. There was also a concern about hostages, some of whom, perhaps 10 or a dozen, are Americans, and whether they could buy some time to try to negotiate for the release of those hostages. And, as you know, Catherine, the U.S. has been moving military apparatus, ships, air defense systems into place into the Middle East from the region, and they wanted to buy a little more time to make sure that they could get all of that done. And I'd say the final and very important reason they wanted the Israelis to wait was because they wanted Israel to come up with more of a strategy for what this ground invasion could achieve and what would happen afterwards. Now, whether all of those conditions have been met, they certainly haven't. Humanitarian aid is already trickling in very slowly. Certainly a ground invasion wouldn't help that very much. But right now, we aren't hearing any criticism from the administration about the fact that Israel does appear to be stepping up its ground maneuvers. We aren't hearing much of anything, frankly, though they say that they are in close communication with Israel. And, of course, we know that there are some U.S. officials, military officials, who have been sent to Israel to advise the Israelis on this ongoing military operation.
Thursday night, the U.S. conducted retaliatory strikes against Iranian-backed groups in Syria. How does that connect to the bigger picture of the war in the Middle East?
Well, the bigger picture is that over the past week and a half, these small U.S. bases in Iraq and Syria that were established years ago to battle ISIS in the region, they had come under fire, under drone attacks, rocket attacks by these militant groups funded by, supported by the Iranians. 21 such attacks in the past week alone. And so last night, the U.S. fired back. They had signposted that they were going to do this. They attacked a couple of facilities right on the Iraqi-Syrian border that they say were storage facilities holding weaponry, ammunition. And their goal was to degrade the capability of these groups to be able to fire on U.S. bases, because we know that 21 U.S. service members were slightly injured, traumatic brain injuries. Luckily, those cases were mild enough that those service members are already back on duty. But obviously, this is an ongoing concern, and their goal is to deter Iran, to deter the militant groups that it supports from doing this again.
Well, it certainly shows how broad Iran's reach is through its proxies in the region, Syria, Lebanon, as well as Gaza. Nancy Cordis at the White House, thank you.
You're welcome.